I'll share one other thing. I didn't film it while I was working on it, but these are the stock sway bar end links. So the bottom, right, is just a bolt that goes to the bushing, no big deal. That came out pretty easy. The top is actually a tapered stud, very similar to maybe a ball joint or tie rod end. I'm guessing these must be original to the Jeep, and they've probably been in there for 27 years. So getting that end to come out was near impossible. I had a torch on this, followed with a hammer, and then I have a pickle fork attachment for my air hammer. And it took multiple rounds of hammering and heating and pounding to finally get this to pop loose. Both sides really fought me coming out. So don't be surprised if you run into some challenges. If your Jeep is mostly original and these things haven't been out in a long time, you could be in for some challenges. Moving on to the sway bar end links. Like I said, these are the quick disconnect style. They're greasable, so they will fit in like so. The bottom is what they call this bullet style. That will mount here with said nut. There's no other means of holding this as you begin tightening the nut, and this is a nylock nut. So you'll need something to hold it as you begin to tighten. You can put an Allen key or something through there, and that should get you close, and then you can tighten it the rest of the way. Make sure you install this so that this pinhole will be horizontal. That way you can pull the pin in and out easily. This upper bracket, depending on your lift height, obviously I'm at stock height. This upper bracket goes over the top of the sway bar. One side is threaded. Make sure that's towards the frame, because the bolt will come in from this side. It's a T47 Torx here on the bottom, so make sure you have one of those handy. Torque spec on this nut is 40 foot-pounds. There we go. On this lower bullet, they give you a spacer, so that slides on. And then adjust the length. You can spin this in or out. They also give you 2 studs in here, so if you have a taller lift, obviously mine's sitting at stock height at the moment, so I'm using the shorter stud in here. But if you have a taller lift, they give you a longer rod for that. Also make sure when you install this that the ports for the grease fittings are pointing out. And I can adjust and get this tight here in a minute, but at the moment, it's pretty close. Let's take a look. Then, of course, the lower pin, make sure this is pulled over all the way. We'll go through the pinhole here in the bottom and make sure you orient it so that you can snap it over so it stays in place. We'll put our grease fittings in next and make sure we pump in some grease so that these are full. All right, the grease fittings are in, so we'll pump in some grease. Just throw it out there. If you don't have one of these locking ends on your grease gun, I highly recommend it. I got this off of Amazon. Really wasn't very expensive, and it makes greasing things so much easier. Locks onto the grease fitting, and then you can pump in grease. There we go. Here's a close-up look at the sway bar end links.